Provide an update on damage cleanup in the city.
Let's listen in.
Get through this. John?
Good afternoon. So, what happened last night, and really kind of, if you back up from there, what happened throughout the day is a classic example of what we have to be prepared for and the way in which we prepare. So, a quick thank you to the weather services from all of our local stations, as well as National Weather Service and others that put a lot of effort into making sure that the EMA and then all of the city departments are aware of what they anticipate to come. This is obviously the kind of thing where you hope that they're wrong, but last night they weren't wrong. We in fact did have a significant event that impacted a swath of our city, and so because of the preparation we're able to do with that kind of advanced warning, this was really kind of a classic example of how we deal with it. So Public Works, just like Huntsville Utilities, will talk to their side, and Landscape and some of the other city departments have crews positioned, prepared for the event to pass through, and then able to get out and work quickly. So if you're in that affected area, if you stayed awake, you probably saw Public Works out there beginning work as early as 2-3 o'clock in the morning this morning, already starting to focus on what their priorities are. So I want to touch on those priorities so you can understand what you should expect from the city departments. So their focus is in the public infrastructure, right? So their primary task is get out there and close or open the roads that are closed because of the trees, render that public infrastructure safe. But there's a complication that comes with that. Oftentimes those trees are tangled up in utility lines, and so they may have to bypass some of those situations until Huntsville Utilities has the opportunity to come in and ensure those particular situations are rendered safe. But once they do, Public Works, Landscape, the companies that they've contracted with to augment their capability will get in and continue to clear those roads. But I want to emphasize that what their job is to focus on the public infrastructure, right? So don't be surprised if you ask one of the Public Works guys out there working in the street in front of your house if he'll come clear your yard, and he says no, because number one, he's not allowed to, but that also pulls him away from the focus that they must have and the priorities they must have on clearing that public infrastructure. So Public Works, the city staff, Huntsville Utilities, and our partners on the commercial side are focused on the public infrastructure, and then our citizens have to focus on their own private yards. And so obviously there's work that you do with your insurance company, and then you may contract with someone or do the work yourself, but ultimately you are responsible for what is happening in your own yard, on your own house. And so we ask you to focus your attention there and allow Public Works to focus out on the roads and streets. And if you have to get out and about, watch out for the areas where they're working. There's roads that are temporarily closed so they can accomplish their work. Find ways around. Give yourself a little bit extra time to get to your destination, because there are streets that are still affected by the event. So be patient with them, with Huntsville Utilities, as they're replacing poles and replacing power lines and all those kinds of things. You do need some patience as you work your way around. One of the important things, though, is you're clearing your yard. And I'll tell you, I live in the affected area, so I also have the task of going and clearing my yard and putting stuff out on the street. Our sanitation department will get that stuff cleared. Obviously, the volume that we're talking about, they will be several weeks behind getting through this backlog. That we absolutely know it's going to be the case. We ask that you just continue to put your debris out there at the street as you always do. Do it in accordance with the rules that you're familiar with for the way we serve your homes, and they will get around. You may not get served on your normal day for this kind of debris pickup. They are going to work their way around and continue to clear these items, and obviously you may be putting additional piles out. They'll continue to work it until it's done. So continue to put stuff out there safely at the curb in front of your home. I also want to talk about the cemetery very quickly, because this is an important piece of public infrastructure to our community. Maple Hill Cemetery was significantly impacted by this event. There are a significant number of trees that were downed inside the cemetery, and obviously that affects your loved one's gravesite. And so we do need you to be patient. Right now, the cemetery is closed to public access. We've had people trying to come in and check on their loved ones, and it is not a safe situation for you to be in there. So the cemetery staff has locked all the gates and asked for those who oftentimes access it through those pedestrian gates to not attempt to access the cemetery. They're working their way through to get all the trees and the debris cleared out. We know that there is pretty significant damage to a lot of your monuments. All right, we understand that. Our staff, as they get the area safe, will then begin doing those assessments block by block, and they will reach out to the families affected and work with you on the repairs and things necessary for your particular situation. So it will take a while to do this. It may be a couple weeks before you get that phone call. Just understand they are working their way through it in an incremental way, and ultimately you will get notified if there's this issue with your particular grave site. And of course, once the area is rendered safe, it will reopen. You'll have access to come in as you typically would. But right now, the public safety is our #1 priority there, getting that area cleaned up so that so the public can get back in when it's safe. So again, a big thank you to our teams that are out there. Public Works guys, the Huntsville utility guys, landscape guys have been working through the night and throughout the day. They're doing it on limited sleep, but they understand what the priorities are for the safety of our community, and we'll continue to work through until we're completed. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to start off and echo what Mr. Hamilton and Mayor Battle said, and thank all the different city departments and other organizations that were very beneficial and present during this event. And so as far as the police department is concerned, one of the things I wanted to touch on was when this incident, when it started happening, of course, we know it was a long span of time. Approximately, I checked on how many calls for service we gathered between 7 o'clock last night and 10 o'clock this morning, and we had 332 calls for service. Now, you may ask, and before you ask, what is the average number of calls for service? I can't tell you that because there's no such thing as an average day in law enforcement. But I can tell you the majority of those calls for service, one of them was alarms going off, which was sometimes weather related, and also traffic control. And we were able to do those things. And because as the weather deteriorated over that period of time, we held over our second shift officers, which we held them over for about an hour till we can stabilize things and really get a grasp of what was going on. So last night I responded to the EMA's EOC, and so myself and our public works director went out and rode around for a little bit, wanted to try to get an idea of the damage. And what I'm leading to this is, even as close to midnight, there was other people riding around looking at damage. And the thing is, you couldn't see anything because it's dark. There's no power in the area. So I would remind you, please, to stay out of the areas that are affected, and continue to respect that. If you want to go help somebody, that's one thing, certainly. But understand there's some areas like they refer to that are not safe for you to go, and we're knocking those out as we go. It's a coordinated effort. Also, keep in mind, as you see power comes on in certain areas, and by that I mean you'll see an officer directing traffic. There's been incidents where the power will come on, and then we pull off once we determine it's going to stay on, and then we get a glitch or something. I can't explain that part, but then we'll have to come back. So my point is to please make sure, even though you saw the power on 15-20 minutes ago, make sure you're paying attention that the traffic light is cycling, and if it's not, treat it like a four-way stop. So again, I want to thank all the other departments that were there, and it was a coordinated effort, and one that I'm very proud of. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Kind of want to do two things here. One is try to lay out a timeline of what happened yesterday and early into this morning, and also talk about some of the steps moving forward. For lack of a better word, we'll call it the recovery stage. So yesterday, the Huntsville-Madison County Emergency Operations Center was activated at 7:45 p.m. There were a total of 4 severe thunderstorm warnings and 9 tornado warnings issued for Madison County between that time and this morning. In addition, there were 3 flash flood warnings issued. The first damage report came in from the city of Madison in the Oakland Trace subdivision of a tree on a house at 9:20 p.m. Preliminary reports from the National Weather Service just a few minutes ago indicated there was a confirmed tornado in the 5 Points area and southeast Huntsville. Storm intensity is yet to be determined. So, like I said, we activated about 7:45 yesterday. Huntsville Police, Huntsville Fire, Huntsville Public Works, City of Madison, and the Madison County Sheriff's Office were present in the Emergency Operations Center to coordinate response. The collaboration will continue with these agencies in the days to come to recover from the damage left by the storms. According to HEMSI, there weren't any transports to the hospital due to the storms. Madison County Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters, WAAY, will also be responding in the days to come to assist with official damage assessments to try to get a hold of what kind of financial burden that we suffered. Drone technology currently is being used to identify damage in the affected areas. Additionally, Madison County WAAY will be in the downtown area to assist with tree removal and tarp placement. So I want to kind of clarify that, as Mr. Hamilton mentioned, that the Public Works Department could not go on public property. We do have an organization, our local WAAY can do that. They do not charge. So we will have them out there, but the key thing is as soon as it's safe for them to enter. Is my understanding, there's still a lot of power lines down. There's a lot of trees blocking the road, so on and so forth. So they will be there. We just ask that you be patient, and we'll get there as soon as we can. Just as a note, to identify themselves, they will have badges that will identify themselves as a volunteer of Huntsville-Madison County EMA. So that will be important for you to know. So just one other thing, and I think this is important. And I want
you've been watching a live news conference. City leaders in Huntsville urging patience during this cleanup phase. Pile your debris up as you normally would, but it may take a little extra time to get to everyone. 9 tornado warnings during this entire event, but HEMSI says there were no patients taken to the hospital due to injuries from the storms.
Really, that is incredible news, something that we all hope happens every time severe weather threatens. Speaking of that, the man who tracked it right along with you to keep you and your family safe all night long, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle, joins us live from Henniger. Jeff, this was one of the many storms that you tracked out there moving through last night in Henniger.
It was I would say unexpected that we were going to have that many storms rotating and that many storms with tornado potential. And again, we know of at least 3 tornadoes. National Weather Service has confirmed that one of those did occur here in Henniger, in DeKalb County. The tornado actually likely started in Jackson County and then moved here into the Henniger area. And as we've been showing you, the damage is here and the cleanup is ongoing right now. And of course, after we have a storm like this, you see the utility crews out here, the bucket trucks, and that's what we've got just on the other side here of our storm tracker. They're working on getting some of these utility lines that are down as a result of this tornado that moved here, getting that back up, getting power restored here. Having power back, of course, is going to help with the recovery efforts. Again, the National Weather Service, at least preliminary assessment, was this was at least an EF2 tornado. Winds of 111 to 135, that's kind of the range there. They are still doing the survey, though, regarding this particular tornado track. So we don't have any final information to pass along to you yet. But again, at least preliminary, EF2 tornado is what came through the Henniger area, causing the damage that we have seen here in this portion of DeKalb County. We're going to continue to look around. In fact, as we head through our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast, going to move to some other locations and give you some other views of what transpired here in the aftermath of yesterday's storms. Again, that'll be coming up in our newscast here over the next couple of hours. Let's get you caught up, though. Another look at your weather here as we head through the rest of your Thursday, and there are no weather problems expected as we take a look at WAAY 31 triple Doppler. It is a clean sweep out there. We are not expecting any stormy weather coming through tonight. There might be a couple showers kind of brushed by Coleman County, southern Marshall, southern DeKalb, Etowah County, on into Blount, as well as Cherokee County, but that'll be about it. Nothing that is expected to be severe down in that direction, regardless of what we see rain-wise across the far southern part of our coverage area. It's a warm one, I can tell you that, standing out here. It is mid to upper 80s pretty well across the board, but we are looking forward to some cooler and some less humid conditions coming into the weekend. That's also going to be accompanied by quiet weather as well. as we head into your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is a view from Decatur right now on our Thompson Roofing and Construction Skycam over there. Again, beautiful shot. Check it out, the Tennessee River. We've got blue sky out there. A much calmer day, all things considered, than what we were dealing with heading into yesterday evening. Your planner this evening, no weather concerns. We'll be dropping through the 80s. Back into the 70s here in the coming hours. Again, we will have another update from Henniker coming up in our 5 o'clock newscast, as well as a breakdown of that forecast through the weekend and when we can expect our next round of rain and potential thunderstorm activity coming up in your forecast at 5. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Well, people in one Limestone County neighborhood are working to rebuild after last night's tornado. This is what the Brigadoon neighborhood looks like today. Homes destroyed, debris scattered across roads and yards. We spoke with one man who says his 3 dogs seemed to sense severe weather was on the way.
My oldest one actually started acting strange and would come and he started clawing my arm. We were watching TV and he wouldn't leave me alone. So, you know, and he did that the same thing last year when we had the EF0 come through. Yeah, we just ducked in our safe place and, you know, hunkered down with our dogs and rode it out.
Now, he tells us his house suffered minor damage, but the homeowners across the street weren't so lucky. The storm tore off the 2nd and 3rd levels of one of the homes. And that storm, the National Weather Service describes that as an EF3. Well, as Red Cross crews headed out to Brigadoon, they soon learned the home of one of their own volunteers was hit. Yeah,
they jumped into action to not only help her, but also anyone else who needed water, snacks, or wanted a meal from a food truck.
I'm feeling blessed. A lot of people want to help.
There's so many people out here helping.
These guys too, the Red Cross that I belong to.
Kay is one of our new volunteers. She joined us this spring, and she would be out here working if it wasn't that her house got hit.
We worked with our...
No one in Kay's house was hurt. Utility crews at this hour are still trying to get the power turned back on for the neighborhood. Huntsville utility crews working to get the lights back on for more than 2,000 people. In fact, here's a look at a real-time outage map. The majority of those outages are off Slaughter Road and the 5 Points area, but as you can see, power is still out, scattered across all of Madison County.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News at 4:30 with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, and Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle.